7-2. They won 10 games. That's the first time that they had a coach to win 10 wins in a combined season since Gary Barnett in 99 and 2000. That just goes to show you a team that won 4 games last year looks like it's about to double that win total up this year. There are a lot of people that's disappointed that Coach Prime is doing so well because there are a lot of people that want to see him fail.
A month and a half ago, we'd be laughing at this because Colorado, we still didn't know a lot about them, but they've risen from the ashes. Deion's kept his mouth shut a little bit. I know that sounds a little vicious, but he's quieted down a little bit.
I just think the thing is, look, I mean, I to openly root for somebody to not have success, and I get it. Everybody, because they expect black people to be humble. Be glad you're coaching. Be glad you got this. Be humble. They always expect us, but why?
We're now tuned in to the Dark Times channel.
And so here we go again, back with another one. Welcome back to the Dark Times channel. And before I get started, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like button for me one time. And if you're not new to the channel and you've been enjoying the content so far on this channel, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me as well. Now, I did a video the other day talking about Deion Sanders and talking about him possibly being pursued by NFL teams, in particular the Las Vegas Raiders, and they would be foolish not to go after him and Shedeur Sanders.
And then the internet has reported that after every Raiders loss, Shedeur Sanders has put out "Thank you, God" tweets.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And if you do recall, I believe him and Davis have already had a conversation about, hey, this might be your new home.
Oh, yeah.
And if you think about Las Vegas, Shedeur, that feels like...
You guys might call me crazy. There could be 2 spots open that could pry Coach Prime away from Colorado. One would be Dallas. Could you imagine the hype around that? That's one. But the other is Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think Deion Sanders should leave Colorado necessarily. That's up to Deion Sanders. I'm not trying to get Deion Sanders out of college football. But if I were an NFL owner and I was in a position to go after not only one of the best quarterbacks coming out of college, but to get his father, a Hall of Fame cornerback in the NFL, to coach my team along with his son, if I was in a position to do that, I would do it in a heartbeat. And I would give Deion Sanders almost anything he wanted. But with that being said, I'm not saying Deion Sanders should leave Colorado. That's only if he wants to. Only God knows. That's up to him. But that's not what everybody's talking about. Everybody's talking about Deion Sanders leaving. And I wonder why.
And I'm going to take it a step further. Are you ready for this, Paul? I'm going to make people very, very uncomfortable here. Prime time has shown we know the brother can recruit. We know what he is. You talk about the greatest cornerback in the history of the National Football League, okay? This brother, Prime Time, Deion Sanders, and the job that he's doing. Are you ready for where I'm going?
All right, let's go.
Are you ready for where I'm going, Shannon? Ready for where I'm going, Paul?
Where you gonna put him at? Where you putting him at?
I believe that the Dallas Cowboys should tank the rest of the season, get the #1 overall pick, so you can draft Shedeur Sanders, and by the way, hire Primetime Deion Sanders as your head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. I think that should be Jerry Jones's master plan. That's right, I said it.
Now, from Stephen A. Smith's point, it's easy to see why someone like himself would want Deion Sanders, a close friend of his, to be at the helm of the Dallas Cowboys. You're talking about somebody that's box office, somebody that's going to put people in the seats, and somebody that is always going to give you something to talk about. And Stephen A. Smith never runs out of things to talk about, but Deion Sanders is going to make the needle move. And so it makes sense for Stephen A. Smith to want somebody like a Deion Sanders in the NFL and preferably coaching for the Dallas Cowboys. But Paul Finebaum is a different story. Paul Finebaum has never wanted Deion Sanders coaching in college, especially at Colorado.
Stephen A., I completely agree. I think they will make the playoffs. I didn't think so a week or two ago. I didn't think they would have a winning season 2 months ago. But what you said about the Cowboys is dead on. I think Deion now knows college football is too difficult. Dealing with the portal.
Now that's got to be one of the most backhanded, condescending compliments that I've ever heard. Deion Sanders is sitting at 7-2, completely turned the program around, and now you're talking about it's going to be too difficult for him. There's too many complications for him after all that he's had to overcome. Yeah, Deion Sanders would have liked to take that Florida State job. He would have liked for his alma mater to give him a call and say, hey, we'd like you to come coach for us. But you know what? It didn't happen. And so he went to Jackson State. took his son to Jackson State, got Travis Hunter, a 5-star recruit, to come to Jackson State, and he won at Jackson State. And then what did he do? He went to Colorado, and now he's winning. And now he's looking at getting in a Big 12 championship, and not only that, a college football playoff. And that's the real problem.
Dealing with the NIL, dealing with the bureaucracy of administrators, I don't think long-term will suit him. He's beaten the system. If the season ended today, it was a masterpiece.
No matter how many backhanded compliments that Paul Finebaum and company gives about Deion Sanders week after week, after they keep winning and they're forced to admit that Deion's a good coach and they're forced to admit that Shedeur is a good quarterback, they don't like doing it. They don't like talking about it, but they don't have a choice. And so that's what it's really about. It's about getting Deion Sanders out of sight, out of mind. Let somebody else have to talk about him. Get him out of college football altogether. Send him to the Cowboys.
A month and a half ago, we'd be laughing at this because Colorado, we still didn't know a lot about him, but they've risen from the ashes. Deion's kept his mouth shut a little bit. I know that sounds a little vicious, but he's quieted down a little bit.
Well, listen, I never really liked the Colorado job, but he's made the most out of it. It's been a struggle. He's already beaten the odds. It's a good time to get out. I mean, buy low, sell high. I mean, I'm not a broker, but that's not hard to figure out, and it's hard to imagine. There's just too many complications out there.
Paul Finebaum would love nothing more than Deion Sanders to go to Dallas or to even Florida State, a school like that, because if somehow Deion Sanders can pull it off, and maybe not this year, but sometime soon, sometime in the near future, win a college football championship at Colorado, now that's something else. That's something different. Now we're talking about Deion Sanders as possibly one of the greatest college football coaches of our time. And I know you got your Nick Sabans out there. I know you got your Urban Meyers out there. But none of them won at Colorado. None of those guys got 5-star recruits, 4-star recruits to come play in Boulder, Colorado.
Can you imagine a world, because I worked there and I know him, no one thinks Mike McCarthy's surviving with the Dallas Cowboys. No one. Jerry loves that kind of splash. Could you imagine Jerry just being like, Deion, you know how to work with pro athletes. Sure. You don't have to recruit anymore. You get us a bunch of attention, surround yourself with assistants, and I got this thing going. I still don't believe that Deion Sanders is not going to be one of the most coveted coaches this cycle at any level.
So let me go ahead and address that Dallas Cowboys situation as far as Deion Sanders and Shedeur winds it up with the Dallas Cowboys. As cool as that sounds, as marketable as that sounds, that's something that's not going to happen. First of all, they just paid Dak Prescott a boatload of money, $231 million guaranteed. And so there's not an owner alive that's going to let that contract just walk out the door or try to trade that contract, because I don't think it's a tradable contract. And so it's not going to happen for that reason. And the other reason it's not going to happen, and so as much as people like to cozy up to Jerry Jones, Stephen A. Smith in particular, Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys are one of 13 teams in the NFL that have never, ever hired a black head coach. Let that sink in. As many black players that surround him and sit by him on Sunday and come up to him and give him a hug and a handshake, go to the practices, he's never once hired a black head coach. I don't even think he's had an interview, a serious interview, or a serious black candidate has been recommended for that job. It's never gonna happen. And if there was a black head coach that Jerry Jones wanted to hire, it sure as hell wouldn't be Deion Sanders. Personality's too big. Rule number 1, never outshine the master, pun intended. And we know Jerry Jones loves the shine. And so that's what you're talking about, and that's what you're dealing with when it comes to Jerry Jones. And so for that reason alone, I don't think Deion Sanders winds up in Dallas. Jerry Jones needs a yes man, and Deion Sanders has never been the type to be a yes man. And that's not to say he won't wind up in the NFL. That's not to say that Shedeur and Deion won't find themselves reunited in the NFL at some point, but I don't think Deion Sanders has to go anywhere. I think he's doing just fine at Boulder, Colorado. I think he's building something there. I think he's being fulfilled there. And so I don't think he's looking to go anywhere. But if and when he does go, it should definitely be on his own terms and his own conditions. But I think that's going to be a wrap on this particular video. Let me know how y'all feel about it. I would love to get y'all's feedback on this one. And as usual, peace and chaos.